All right, folks, we have a bunch of stories to bring you in regards to Nintendo Switch 2, video games, and more. Guys, some exciting stuff going on this week, including something that has to do with the Game Awards later this week. Super excited for that. We'll be live streaming that along with giving our little predictions for the show, a little competition we do on the Nintendo by podcast this upcoming Wednesday. That being said, folks, we are giving away 3 copies of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade for Switch 2. You can go ahead and enter through the link down in the pinned comment or the description. And without further ado, let's not waste any more of your time. Let's just dive right in because First Four Figures unveiled something really, really cool. We have this Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Decayed Master Sword life-size statue coming soon. And hey, we got a silhouette teaser here, and it says, hey, you know, it opens in 12 days, probably 11 days at this point, and this is the teaser. Now, look, I actually really love First Four Figures stuff. This is obviously not a complete Master Sword, but it is life-size to the point of where it hits the base. Pretty interesting. I actually might want this for my collection. We'll have to wait and see. The last thing I got was Great Mighty Pooh for Conker's Bad Fur Day, so I can attest to the quality of First Four Figures here, but, you know, we'll have to wait and see. We'll continue to cover it after it gets fully revealed. All right. That being said, how about some data around the Switch 2 for Black Friday? Well, yes, the Switch 2 here in the United States and Europe appears to have gotten completely roundhouse kicked by the PlayStation 5, which, to be fair, was pretty much the only discounted platform this holiday. As we go in here, Matt Piscatella from Circana says in the United States, PlayStation 5 accounted for 47% of total Black Friday week hardware unit sales, leading the market. Nintendo Switch 2 ranked second at 24%, with the Next Playground at third at 14%. Yes, the Next Playground, a system that's all basically a Connect 3.0, a cheaper $250 family motion control system, beat out the Xbox in its home territory. I don't know, quite interesting there, but obviously PlayStation 5 having an all digital version down to $400, $50 cheaper than any version of the Switch 2. Obviously, you know, then the next version up being $450 with the game packed in. For the most part, obviously, so there's some like Fortnite bundles, which wasn't the game packed in, but like some V-Bucks and other stuff. Anyways, the point is, folks, that, yeah, PlayStation 5 dominated, and it didn't just dominate here in the United States. I did mention Europe, so let's head on over to the games business here, where it says PlayStation 5, EA Sports FC, Hogwarts Legacy come on top. We're more interested in the hardware stuff for right now, especially since we don't have any exact numbers here. It says PS5 was the only console to do better this Black Friday than the previous one, with unit sales up 16% year over year. Of course, Switch 2 wasn't out last holiday, so yeah, it can't really do better than not existing at all. Anyways, PlayStation 5 had a 62% share of the console market during the week. The PlayStation 5 Slim 1 terabyte price was 21% lower compared with 2 weeks previously. The PS5 Slim 825 gigabyte digital price was 34% lower than 2 weeks prior, and the PlayStation 5 Pro was down to 586 pounds, which is an all-time low and had its best week outside of its launch week. Overall, the average price of PlayStation 5 was 340 pounds last week, only the 7th time it's gone below 400 pounds. Xbox Series S and X accounted for 10% of the market during Black Friday week. The average selling price of the Xbox machines was 385 pounds, which was 8% lower than 2 weeks prior. Switch 2 took a 23% share of the market during Black Friday, which is a lower share compared with the weeks since launch. However, this is to be expected given the deals on the PlayStation 5. Switch 2's average selling price was 405 pounds during Black Friday, which was only a slight 3% drop on 2 weeks ago. Finally, Switch 1 took 5% of sales during Black Friday 25. Elsewhere, accessory sales were down sharply as well. But yeah, so you kind of get the idea there. The Switch 2 chiming in at number 2 in both of those markets. I don't know what to tell you. Obviously, this could be a sign that maybe the Switch 2 is not doing very well. Of course, we don't have actual sales data. Like, as an example, you know what, the PlayStation 5 is selling like crazy. It did like 1.5 million that week. Well, then the sales are still going to look really, really good for Switch 2. It really just all depends on what the actual data is. But in the end, yeah, Switch 2 maybe isn't performing as well as some people might think. However, it was also not on sale. Like, let's just be honest. The sales actually in the US with this whole knocking the price down $50 on the bundle, that began after Black Friday week. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see if there's anything that comes from this. But that's the current state of the sales. I'm very curious what Nintendo thinks, because ultimately the sales matter to them way the hell more than they matter to any of us. All right, guys. Next up, we got to be talking about a game that, yes, shout out to Ubisoft. They did provide me a copy. I haven't installed it yet, but I will be soon, especially after I saw these reports. Assassin's Creed Shadows on Switch 2 is supposedly unplayable for some players after repeated crashes, saying, they're waiting for an update, which there is an update coming next week. But this is interesting. So this comes from a on the Switch 2 subreddit thread saying, I also had 4 crashes back to back when trying to complete that add a building mission. Probably going to wait for a patch. I'm around Senry Hills now, and the crash is so frequent it's unplayable. Playing on the dock and using internal storage. My game crashed 10 times in 20 minutes. I couldn't play. And the worst part is we paid for it and there's nothing we can do. Ubisoft doesn't care. Safe reputation. My game crashes, no joke, every 5 minutes. It's unplayable. Emotion awkward over here. Yes, I can confirm it is difficult to play it correctly. The game keeps cutting 5 crashes in 30 minutes. I'm waiting for an update. It's impossible to play it correctly. For me, this is unplayable, says Steven, and on and on and on. Just lots and lots of these complaints. Now, Ubisoft at this time has not responded to any of these complaints. And yes, well, they have provided me a copy of the game. I don't have it installed right now. I'm unsure, if I'm going to encounter these issues or not. Obviously, everyone playing the game isn't encountering crashes at this frequency. Could be dependent on what you're doing. Could be dependent on what setting you're going with the game. Maybe there's a difference between dashboard and handheld. There's lots of things that could be playing a role in this. But the bottom line is Ubisoft needs to address it. And I'm hoping that it is getting addressed in this big update that's supposedly coming next week. So I've been told, but we'll have to wait and see. Again, I actually might have to get Assassin's Creed Shadows installed as soon as I'm done with Metroid Prime 4. Again, shout out to TARDIS76 for providing me that copy of Metroid Prime 4. I appreciate it. But I probably should see if this is something that gets fixed. Like, does the patch fix anything? Well, maybe I can find out firsthand. Now, one thing we need to pay attention to, we talked about some of the Black Friday stuff, but something else is flying under the radar, and that is the Mario Kart World Bundle. It was supposed to be a limited time thing just through fall of 25. Now, we all kind of knew, yeah, this will probably come back every holiday. It's not that big of a deal, but maybe it never goes away. This is interesting. So we're over here with Nintendo deal. And it says Nintendo removed text from their website that stated the Nintendo Switch 2 plus Mario Kart World Bundle would be a limited time product. So here's what the original said. Limited time production through fall 2025. Available while supplies last. Now here's what it says today. Absolutely nothing. They got rid of that text. So I guess that means this is no longer a limited time bundle. That means the Mario Kart World Bundle is staying around. Now, I've had some speculations here. Nintendo could be getting feedback from these retailers who are doing these $50 off. And if the sales are going incredibly well at $450 with Mario Kart World bundled in, I wonder if Nintendo might be thinking, hey, maybe we get rid of our SKU that doesn't have Mario Kart World. We just have the Mario Kart World bundle be $450. That seems to be what the market is really desiring this to be at. Yeah, I could see that being a cause for this potentially. Or it could just be they're worried that if they get rid of the bundle, the sales are going to fall off a cliff. That's entirely possible as well. The bundle obviously is a good deal, especially when you consider the game is $80. Even at $500, you save $30 over buying the game separately. So, I guess either there could be that concern that, hey, if we get rid of this, people might stop buying it in general. We have to have a bundle going on. Maybe the Pokemon bundle doesn't work as well long haul because, again, you don't actually need to own a Switch 2 to play Pokemon Legends EA, but you do need to own it to play Mario Kart World. So, yeah, I don't know. Just kind of some food for thought to throw out there. You guys let me know what you think about the stuff down in the comments below. Next up, we got to talk about some stories here coming from Suda51 about a certain game. Let's see what's going on over here. So Romeo is a dead man has a tweet out there. And this is obviously being translated. This is the official X account for Romeo is a dead man coming February 11, 2026. Check out our new trailer. This is the official X account for Romeo is a dead man. And obviously, please check it out. Yada, yada, just saying that on repeat. And this is the new trailer. But here's the thing. Suda51 has quote tweeted this and said, we're looking into what we can do to make a Switch 2 version happen. So right now, this is not coming to Switch 2, but that's not going to stay the way. They want to bring it to Switch 2. Also, this game contains no AI-generated stuff whatsoever, so please rest easy on that front and go ahead and wishlist it. And they list, obviously, the Steam, PS5. They don't have an Xbox link, but that is coming soon. But yes, they are saying Romeo is a dead man. It's going to come to Switch 2. It's not going to come to Switch 2 this year, but they are looking at all the options they can to get it over. I suspect this is going to be a summertime release, 2026, if I had to guess, just allotting some time for a good port job. I'm assuming that they'll get that all sorted out. Next up, just kind of a fun little story. I always wondered why Nintendo stopped using the word Nindies, right? Obviously, we have our indie worlds and all that. But remember when they were calling everything Nindies? Like we had Nindie Directs and, let's take a look at all the new Nindies. A very clever play of the word Nintendo and Indies. And now we know why Nintendo stopped using it after Kit and Krista, former Nintendo employees that were around during the time period when Nindies was used and then stopped being used, have now revealed why Nintendo made that decision. So as we go in here, we're over on Nintendo Everything. And it says, do you remember the Nindies term that Nintendo used to use to bring up on a regular basis? It was very prominent in the Wii U and 3DS era, and even the very early Nintendo Switch days. You probably don't need us to tell you what it was for, but essentially it was a way to label indie games on Nintendo platforms. These days, Nindies is all but forgotten. So what happened to the name? During a recent podcast episode, former Nintendo of America employees Kit Ellis and Krista Yang spoke about the situation. All this simply came down to legal concerns. So, here's what Ellis and Yang shared. Kit, it was created by that team, the PDR team, and they ran with it, and they did as much as they could with it, and everybody loved it. They made t-shirts, they made a logo, they made all of this, but they got the tap on the shoulder from the legal team like, you can't do this, Krista. You can't do that because you're not supposed to combine the brand word. Kit says it was like Wiimote. Krista said, yeah, Wiimote was bad. You can't say Wiimote, we remote. And definitely cannot kind of cut out the Nintendo brand in half and tack it onto another word. It dilutes the brand. In the words of legal, it makes it so that you cannot defend your brand later on for some sort of legal dispute. Kit, speaking of disputing, the PDR team did dispute it. Remember the guy who came up with this? And he was really like the champion of it? He was kind of a pit bull, and he went toe-to-toe with legal, but guess what? You just can't beat that. And it's actually kind of weird because despite what has mentioned above, Nintendo does have internal things that do something similar to Nindies. For an example, the company makes use of the terms N-Site and N-Ambassador, though again, these aren't public facing terms. They're not, they're for behind the scenes stuff, but it is kind of interesting. It is kind of interesting if that's the case. Obviously, I am not a lawyer. I'm not a legal expert. I'm not really sure what the legalese is behind all this stuff. Obviously, if legal tells you you can't do something, it's going to cause problems, and they present a good case. I mean, the decision's obvious, but it does feel weird because we see brand names use their brand all the time in naming different products. When you look at how many times Google has put their name on everything, like Google Sheets, Google Docs, G Suite. So I don't know. I'd like to think that it's a bit of a weak excuse, but like you could trademark or copyright that too. I don't know. Take that for what you will, I guess. Probably has something to do more like with the fact that it's using Nintendo's name on games Nintendo's not making, I guess. Maybe. I'm trying to find any way to honestly understand any of this. All right, last part. We will be live streaming the Game Awards this week on Thursday. That's really cool. And we have our betting special on Wednesday on the 10 Byte podcast. But we already know about one series to expect, and it very well could be coming to Switch 2 because guess what? They like to bring Tomb Raider to Switch 2. What? Lara Croft returns at the Game Awards, says Jeff Keighley, the man behind the awards. As just revealed in our Game Awards Vote in Fortnite map portal, tune in Thursday night for a look at the future of one of gaming's most iconic franchises, Tomb Raider. This is one you don't want to miss. And yes, they have this nice little art here. Very curious what this is going to be, how well it's going to look. Look, guys, I'm a huge fan of Tomb Raider. Love Lara Croft. Would love to see another amazing Tomb Raider entry come out. When the series got kind of rebooted here, not too far back, I think the reboot series was great. We got some of that stuff now here on Switch 2. So here's hoping that the next game is just as amazing as the last ones were. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I am Nathaniel Robojans from Nintendo Prime. This has been a fun one. And you know what? I'll catch you guys tonight on our live stream. Bye, everyone.